It was foretold that you would be here. Our long-awaited meeting has come at last.
I'm glad I gave you something to look forward to.
We need not be adversaries. The Emperor will show you mercy if you tell me where the remaining Jedi can be found.
There are no Jedi. You and your Inquisitors have seen to that.
Perhaps this child will confess what you will not.
I was beginning to believe I knew who you were behind that mask. But it's impossible. My master could never be as vile as you.
Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him.
Then I will avenge his death.
Revenge is not the Jedi way.
I am no Jedi.
You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon? Should I have? It's a ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Kessel Run Weekly. My name's Kristen.
And I'm Danny. And this week, we've got some exciting stuff to talk about.
Yes!
And it kind of came out of nowhere for us, to be honest. It really wasn't planned.
No.
For us to be talking about this topic this week.
It was not planned. It just, we got a craving, I guess?
Yeah.
For some, throwback Star Wars shows.
Oh, definitely. We decided that we were going to talk Star Wars Rebels this week.
Yep.
Because we've been talking about it pretty much. I think we've mentioned it once a show for like the longest time. Man, we really want to watch Rebels. I think I want to watch Rebels, going back and forth. And so, guys, we watched Rebels. And this week we're talking Twilight of the Apprentice. So very, very excited.
Yes.
But first, we've got some news.
Come closer, I have good news.
For, the thing that we're most all collectively excited about. Star Wars Celebration Chicago, ladies and gentlemen.
Celebration!
So we got
Sorry.
to
those ears.
It's acceptable.
Okay.
It's acceptable.
Thank you.
So we got some announcements as far as some actors, voice actors, puppeteers, all the like, showing up that we're actually going to get to meet in person, Kristen. The first one I'm super excited about. The first and second one. I'm going to lose my...
Are we going to actually meet, or are we just going to be able to see them?
No, meet. These are meet and greet.
Oh.
You get them to sign. You get to take a picture. You get to say hello.
We can't meet all of them.
You get to be in their vicinity. You get to sniff them.
But we can't meet them all. They're expensive.
Probably not. It probably will be very expensive, but I will try. Oh, believe. I will try. But our first one on the list is Eunice Suetamo, which I know you Star Wars fans recognize as none other than the mighty Chewbacca himself. So very, very excited there.
Tried.
And then I think that's the one that I'm second most excited about. Not 100% sure, but I'm extremely excited about it.
I'm excited about the second one.
The second one?
Yeah.
Mr. Sam Witwer, Darth Maul himself.
Oh, Sam Witwer!
You're ridiculous.
I know.
I'm very excited to meet Sam Witwer because, in all honesty, yes, Ray Park brought the character to life on the big screen, but Sam added even more to it, which is really cool. And so I'm just really excited to meet him, and get to say hey and you're awesome and all that good stuff. I'm getting giddy thinking about it.
Yeah, I am too. Just thinking about sniffing him.
Oh my god.
Ugh. Never gonna wash these nostrils again.
You wash your okay.
Just kidding.
It's a whole
I'm
other
just
conversation
kidding.
there, but we're good.
I'm just joking. It was funny.
Next on the list. See what you've done to me? Next on the list, we have Mr. Greg Grunberg, who is Snap Wexley from Force Awakens. You also might remember as Matt Parkman from Heroes.
Yes.
Way back in the day.
I was like, why does his name sound familiar? But I don't know who Snap Wexley is.
Yeah, Matt Parkman himself.
Yay.
Snap Wexley, he is part of Poe's Elite Black Squadron.
Yes.
So he's going to be meeting at Celebration, which is really cool. I can't remember if he was there last year, but hey, who cares? He's here this year.
Right.
The next up, we have Greg Proops, which is not a well-known one. Do you know who I'm referring to?
Nope.
Okay, so in Phantom Menace, you remember the announcer, from the pod races.
Yes.
Fode and Bede.
Oh my
He's
god.
Fode.
That's hysterical. That's
He's one of the two-headed
amazing.
announcer.
Okay.
He's also on Whose Line Is It Anyway? Way back in the day. He's the one with the glasses. Not Drew Carey, but the other one with the glasses.
Oh.
Yeah. He was only on there, I think, a couple times. Or he'd be in there randomly. He wasn't like a mainstay or whatever. But yeah, so he's going to be there, which will be really cool. I think that might be his first celebration. I'm not 100% sure with that. The second one, or the next one we have, is Dave Chapman. So this was a name that I didn't recognize before. All that he was credited with was just BB-8. Upon further digging, apparently he was also one of the puppeteers with BB-8, alongside Brian Herring, which we have met.
Right.
He actually signed the BB-8 my dad made, which is really cool. So there's another one for Dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did. He helped bring BB-8 to life. He was a puppeteer for BB-8, Rio Durant, and Lady Proxima.
Ooh.
That massive rig.
Yeah.
So kind of cool, actually. So I'm really excited about that and everything. I think that's going to be one definitely for Dad to meet.
Mm-hmm.
The next one on the list is Ian McElhinney. Ian McElhinney. I don't know. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. He is General Dodonna in Rogue One. So, do you know who that is?
This sounds familiar, but I can't put a face with it.
White hair, big beard with white.
Yes.
He always stands next to Mon Mothma.
Yes.
Yes. General Dodonna.
I feel it.
Yeah, so he was General Dodonna in Rogue One. So that's cool because that's my favorite Star Wars movie ever. So, I know.
Really?
I've made a statement.
Ever?
I've made a statement.
Ever. That's what you're going with.
That's what I'm going with. We can have this discussion at another time. You seem offended, but okay.
No. I'm just making sure that's where you're standing with this.
That's where I'm standing with this. Continuing with the Rogue One love, we have Paul Casey, who actually was the man in the suit, Admiral Raddus. So, yeah. So Stephen Stanton was the voice, and Paul Casey was the actual Raddus, the physical Raddus.
They always do this.
Yeah.
There's so many, like, stand-in actors versus voice actors when it comes to, like, Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we can't have the same person in the body doing the voice. It just doesn't work sometimes.
Sam Witwer, I mean...
Darth Vader.
Yeah, Darth Vader. You're right. With James Earl Jones.
Exactly.
Yep,
There's another. There's another one. There's another one. I know there is. I discovered one not too long ago. I felt like.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Who was it? Oh well.
I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll find out. We're next episode.
Yes,
I'm just kidding.
Next episode. All of the Vaders ever. No. And the last one I have on my list is Orly Shoshan, who played Shaak Ti in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a little prequel love there. Well, a couple prequel loves there. So I'm freaking excited because we're finally getting information about Celebration and the people who are going to be there. Also, side note, pretty much all of the cast of Resistance will be there. I don't know that we've talked about that on the show, so that's exciting too. I'm excited to meet Christopher Sean and all them, so that's going to be really awesome.
It is going to be pretty awesome. Pretty excited.
Definitely. So, Kristen, moving on to our next segment, you have our listener question of the week.
Yes, I sure do. Our listener comment came from No, it didn't.
It did come from Instagram.
Oh!
Did that throw you off?
Yeah, it did. It's okay. I was pretty sure it was like from Instagram, and then I realized no, that does not say that. But it did come from Instagram.
Yes, our friend Grace Group, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that because you didn't have that. And
I know all the things always.
And she wants to know what Star Wars book we are most excited about for in 2019.
I'm very excited for Thrawn Treason.
Yeah, I know that.
Master and Apprentice.
Yeah, I figured that too.
I'm so freaking excited. I feel awful, though, because I haven't read Thrawn Alliances yet. I know. I love the first Thrawn book. I just haven't picked up the second one, but I'm still excited for the third one.
Shame on you.
I mean, how can you not be excited with cover art where it's Thrawn and then Palpatine looming over his shoulder and the word treason on there? You just hear the Senate say, "It's treason then."
It's treason then.
So I'm really excited about that story because I don't know if that concludes Thrawn's trilogy. I mean, that would be a trilogy, but I don't know if it concludes the whole story or what. But other than that, Master and Apprentice, the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan story, that's going to be freaking exciting.
Yeah. Honestly, I could say that's probably my top two that I'm excited for. But I think the one that I'm most excited for would be Queen's Shadow.
Oh, yes. The Padme one?
Yes.
Yes.
It looks awesome. The cover of it just looks awesome.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. They've already sent out advanced copies. We didn't get one. But they've sent out a bunch.
How do you get those?
I'm trying. I'm working on it.
You have to be somebody? Is that what you're telling me, Danny? We have to be somebodies?
We'll be somebody one day. They sent out advanced copies, and a lot of people who have read it have given it glowing reviews and everything. Obviously, the actual reviews cannot be released till the book is released. It's all on embargo, but yes, a lot of good positive stuff coming out for it. Very exciting. So, yeah. It's okay. We'll be somebody one day.
But I want to be a somebody now.
So I think that's what we're most excited about as far as the books and stuff. And then we got some comics that are coming out too here soon. Age of Rebellion, Age of Resistance. Those series, and then they announced a Galaxy's Edge comic, which is freaking awesome.
What? Like, how is that supposed to work?
So they released some like concept art of this Ithorian, the Hammerhead alien.
Yeah,
it's Doc Ondar, I think is his name. But he buys, sells, and trades like different antiquities on Black Spire Outpost, and I think it's supposed to be like he's telling stories and stuff like that. A little birdie told me that you may actually get to meet this character in the park, which would be so freaking cool.
Oh, a little birdie.
A little birdie. Our friend Cheyenne. She's our little birdie right now.
I didn't know. For a minute, I was about to ask if it was.
Look, I had to sound like we were connected or something. We've got to be somebody.
I thought you were talking about Uncle Kenny, though.
Oh, no. But yeah, so I'm really excited about that, and I think there's a TIE Fighter Squadron book that's coming out too. So whole lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
If one thing isn't in your fancy, then something else definitely will be.
A little off topic. Wasn't there another age of something? Because I thought there was an age of Rebellion, Resistance, and Republic.
Yeah, Republic's actually happening right now. They're about to move into Rebellion.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I remember we talked about this. I remember it was cool because it was the age of this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. And I remember discussing it.
She remembered.
I remembered.
She pays attention.
Sometimes. But I think that covers all of our news and our comment.
Absolutely.
But just to wrap that up, guys, if you have any comments for us from Instagram or Facebook or even on our website, just always send those over. Or Twitter. Sorry. I forget. Just send those over. We love questions. We love answering them. We love debating and whatnot.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but that kind of wraps it up.
Give us something to fight about. I'm just kidding.
Right? Like we already don't have stuff to fight about.
Make the next one a doozy.
That's just the tough questions. No, I'm just kidding.
But thank you, Grace, for sending in that question. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And so I guess, Danny, if that's all of our news and questions, I think we're ready to move on to our main topic.
Our main topic!
And now, our feature presentation.
So this was really fun, honestly, guys. We were just kind of sitting, kind of thinking. We've had a few things under our belt here the last couple months. We took a little bit off right at the beginning of the year, right at the end of last year, to kind of get ourselves together. Because as you know, we say like every episode, retail is a monster. So we've been trying to get ourselves fit back together slowly, but surely. So we've been kind of coming up with small things here and there, but we were just kind of. Honestly, this was kind of one of those, I'm just gonna be honest, y'all, this is kind of on the fly, because we were just sitting talking about things we wanted to, watch, things we wanted to go back and review, and just kind of see, and talk about, and guys, we just turned on Rebels, and started watching Twilight of the Apprentice.
Yes.
And it was so good.
It was so good.
It was so good. And we've seen it so many times, like,
it was so good.
Danny's probably more than I, but
It was so good.
It was really good. It's probably, honestly, one of my top episodes for Rebels, other than like the series finale and all.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's my favorite, and that's the funny thing is we went to go try to find a way to watch it and everything, and I was like, hey, I bought these on Google Play like forever ago,
right?
And so it was just kind of like, I already have these. I've watched these a million times apparently. Here it is.
Why we don't own the season, I'll never know.
Exactly.
Or the series.
We need to make that happen.
We will.
Help us own the season. So I mean, I love these two episodes. I mean, more than this, but specifically Twilight of the Apprentice, just because there's so much story to be had here.
Yes.
And then on top of that too, like, I mean, how many times did I tear up?
So many. So many.
I got chills, I teared up, I laughed, I cried, like all the things, and it's just like, I love Star Wars that does that to me, you know? Like,
yeah.
One of the reasons why I love Rogue One so much is that I still feel it, you know?
Right.
I don't feel callous. I'm not like, oh, they all die in the end. And then it's just kind of
Wait, what?
I know. But it doesn't make me love it less, you know?
Right.
Which is cool to me. Like, I still feel for these characters. I still hate when K2 dies and all this other stuff. Like, everything that happens, and then the moment where Vader comes in at the very end, and then you've got Leia saying hope and stuff like that. Like, all of that, like, thinking about it right now, I'm getting chills. And
so good.
It's hard for me to do. I'm not one to just, oh, yeah, that gave me chills. Oh, that was really cool.
Oh, whatever.
Like, oh, no.
Whatever. Everything gives you chills.
Now, Celebration. Now, that's a whole other thing. I got some memories from Celebration. But with Twilight of the Apprentice, though, like, I just love how deep the story goes.
Yeah.
Where it's more than just Star Wars Rebels. It's Star Wars. Like, it's all of it. And it wraps all of it into one huge, or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I think it had to be 2. No, it was a season.
Exactly. And just kind of jumping off what you said, too, I think it's, you know, one of my favorite episodes. Not only, like you said, just the feels of it, because it gives you so many emotions, and good ones, too. I mean, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes you want to cry, but not necessarily for the bad reasons. Like, nothing I feel like really bad happens in it. But I think the thing I enjoy most is we've gone back, and anything that we've watched, we make sure we watched it in with subtitles. And I feel like we always catch things.
Yes, we do.
We catch things that we did not catch before.
I feel like I never noticed that Maul called Ahsoka a part-timer.
Yeah.
I think that's been brought up to me before, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Which, I think that was Michelle. I'm sorry, Michelle. But I think she brought it up, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, wow, that's a deep cut." And then I was like, "I don't remember that at all. Like, when did that happen?"
I'm sorry,
but I saw it and I heard it, and it was there because of subtitles.
Exactly, subtitles have really brought us back into the light with Star Wars.
Oh, definitely. Well, and it's added a lot more depth to me because, like, you get to watch these things, and what's always kind of captivated me about Star Wars is just the crazy visuals. It just pushes the limits on everything. Like, George Lucas was and is a pioneer in everything he did with Star Wars and everything. And yes, technology's pretty much caught up to itself, and there's not a whole lot of that technological advances and stuff like that in Star Wars. There's still a little bit, but it's not pushing the needle as hard as it used to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, they're pushing it in terms of story. Because Dave Filoni does an incredible job. With these episodes, with its companion episode, World Between Worlds.
Which you don't realize how good those are together. Like, y'all, that's the next thing we did is we watched that.
We watched it right after it.
And it was so good.
Phenomenal.
It was. Like, if you haven't done that before, do it.
Absolutely. Do it.
Do it. I was about to do it first.
I beat you to it.
I had to perfect it first. I had to get my, like, my chin and my throat in motion.
Your inner Senate.
Do it. Do you see my hand? My hand's all stiff, too. Like, do it.
She's got the palpitating hand going.
Nah. Unlimited.
Oh my gosh.
Every time, you can't tell me to say do it without doing that part.
It's true, that's true. But yeah, so without going literally scene by scene with the episode, I really wanted to kind of take, because I mean, most of you guys have probably seen this episode. If you haven't, what are you doing? Watch these episodes immediately and then come back and talk to us. Because we'll still be here.
Right.
We will always be here waiting. But yeah, so I just want to kind of take the highlights out of it and everything, the cool things that we got. But even though we've seen these 100 times, like, I actually got kind of a new theory out of it.
Oh?
And I know, Todd, if you're listening, my theories can get a little out there, and you always tell me to rein it in. But I'm going for it with this one. I'm all in. And again, like we've said before, it's cool that our theories don't have to mean anything. I just like the theorizing of things like that. I think that's the coolest part about it, is that there's so much left to interpretation of what happened. What could this be? What could this mean? And things like that. And I think that's like 98% of the fun, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You're right.
But I feel like every time I watch Star Wars of any kind, I get something new out of it, and this is no different with Twilight of the Apprentice. So, starting from the top, Kristen, so what's the first things that you took out of it?
Oh my. So I mean, we didn't really go back and watch any episodes before, so I can't really tell you what the leading up to part was, other than them going to Malachor, which we know, I think was Legends and got pulled into canon.
It did?
It was known first as a Sith temple.
It's always been a Sith world,
Okay.
home world, but it came from the I think it's the Knights of the Old Republic video game.
Oh.
Is where it came from, the Malachor.
Your knowledge always outranks my knowledge, but it's fine.
But it's something interesting that you said though about it being pulled from Legends. That's actually one thing that Ahsoka says to Ezra.
Yes.
Because he says something about, I thought that it was a legend, or something like that, or one of them say something about it being a Jedi legend, or something, and then Ahsoka said, there's always a little bit of a truth in the legends.
Uh-huh.
Which I'm just like, I see you, Lucasfilm. I see you.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I don't know, it's a really good episode. I really cling on to the first little bit because we kind of get to see Ahsoka talking with Rex, which is really sweet. Because we always know that Ahsoka's gonna be like Snips.
Yeah.
Even to Rex, I feel like, and then or oh my god, what does he call her?
Commander Tana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I almost said Captain. And I was like, that's not right. That's not right.
Yeah.
And they kind of just have some banter back and forth, which is fun. And, Rex has to go for that. Well, experience outranks everything.
Yeah.
And
Definitely. And you picked up something in their conversation, too.
I did. Yeah. So at the end of their conversation, and as in fashion with Rex, he tells Ahsoka, "May the Force be with you." And she doesn't say it back. She just kind of hangs up. And I thought that was a little odd. But I mean, I guess you can't blame her because she's not really a Jedi anymore. So
it's almost like she knows of the Force existence, and it's like we're gonna coexist, but we're not gonna be friends, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's almost kind of how it feels. Like it still stings a little. Is what I got out of that, because we talked about the Wrong Jedi story arc from Clone Wars, where Ahsoka was expelled and she chose to leave and all that kind of stuff. And so, I don't know. To me, that seems like it would still be kind of a wound.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Like, she's obviously healing and doing something going forward, but at the same time, that's not something like you just forget.
Right, and that's the thing too, is I feel like Ahsoka is a little full of guilt, because of the fact that that she feels like she left, and she regrets that, but I feel like there's always the what if.
Oh, definitely.
Like, what if I stayed, I could have saved Anakin. Because at this point, I think she just thinks Anakin's dead, which we know, but...
Right.
So I think there's the whole, like, I could have helped him, I could have helped prevent Order 66, I could have saved friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think she's just filled with a little bit of that pain from that. Not necessarily that. Yeah, because, I mean, you can't help but think that. I mean, yeah, she got reunited with Rex. but
no one else.
Right.
And that's the worst part about it.
Right.
That she leaves, everyone dies, but if she'd have stayed, she'd have been among them.
Exactly. And that's the thing too, is you have to think about that bigger picture as well. Is that yeah, she would have probably died.
Yep.
But I'm sure Anakin was like her best friend. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
oh, absolutely.
I just said Fran really southern.
Fran.
Her best friend. I feel like I did it again. Never mind.
You can't ignore your roots. Huh?
I can't. But I just feel like that would be something that would probably haunt me just a little bit too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And it comes back later in the episode too, where when she does face down Vader, Anakin, when she realizes that it is, she tells him, "I'm not going to leave you, not this time," and everything. So you can tell there's that hurt there, that she definitely feels guilty, and she's like, "I'm not doing this again." Yeah, it's all or nothing. I'm not leaving you. We're in this together.
Right. No, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on kind of to like the next little bit, I feel like both of us picked up on something really cool when we kind of had to go back and kind of re-listen and rewatch that scene just to make sure. It was cool to me though, is because you kind of get in once they finally fall into Malachor. Literally, yeah.
They quite stumble in.
Exactly. First thing you kind of notice is it's burnt really bad. It's like crisp. As they kind of walk through, you kind of notice there's corpses.
Oh, definitely.
Lots of corpses. And one of the things that I find really interesting, I think, is actually what Ahsoka says. Is she, or maybe Ezra asks, like, what happened here or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then she says something along the lines of, that the Jedi attacked the temple.
Yeah. She said it appears that thousands of years ago that the Jedi attacked the Sith temple.
Uh-huh.
And then Ezra says, did the Jedi win? And she tells him, by the look of it, no one won. Right.
But I think, honestly, for Ezra to ask, did the Jedi win, is a little naive. In a way, because I don't know about you, Danny, but for me, when she said the Jedi attacked the temple, it didn't sound to me like the Jedi really had a reason for, like, just going and attacking. You know what I mean? Other than just start a war.
Yeah.
But what war and why and... Huh?
So enter my crazy theory.
Yes, here it is.
This is for you, Todd. So one thing that's mentioned before they land is that Malachor has been off limits to Jedi.
Yes.
It's always off limits. And that, like you said, Ahsoka said that the Jedi attacked the temple. We see a green crossguard lightsaber too, which is neat.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Which looks a lot like Kyla's lightsaber. Yep, exactly. Just not the right color. Yep. I wonder if it went there though, or did it get destroyed?
I don't know, to be honest.
Because it was crumbling, but do you think it was destroyed?
Doesn't mean that it wasn't unrecoverable.
Because that was a... No. Because his lightsaber was funky donkey.
His is slightly broken in a way, I think, is what the idea around it is, but we don't know for sure. Because we haven't seen it.
Because that was a Jedi lightsaber, and he could have bled the crystal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it potentially could have been his lightsaber.
That's true. Well, and I think that his lightsaber that he has, the crossguard one that he has now, is from his original one. Because if you watch in Last Jedi, when he pulls his one off the table to defend, well, in his mind, defend up against Luke, that's the hilt, just without the cross. So something happens to his saber where he either jacks it up and it needs vents, or he decides to make it that way, or something like that.
Gotcha.
So he did something to it, probably a little inexperienced, but
probably
we shall see. Maybe.
It's just weird that it was the same looking
I thought
idea.
It was really cool, yeah, because it's kind of like, so that is a design.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ezra picks up a crossguard and everything, and that's when he gets the whole thing about the Jedi fighting the Sith. So I have this theory. Disclaimer. This theory. This theory is not canon in any way. I'm not saying that this is absolutely it, but to me, it's kind of fun to think about. Because it's something that you mentioned in one of our early episodes, talking about what you would want to see from Star Wars, and it was more of the Sith point of view. Mm-hmm. We haven't got a lot of them and everything. We know very little about them, and things like that. And so all we know is that they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
And that they're greedy, and that they're passionate, and they drive by their emotions, and and all this other kind of stuff. So the way that Ahsoka framed the thing where she said the Jedi attacked the temple, I got the same idea you did.
Yeah.
Where it was like, the Jedi attacked. Why?
Right.
Well, we get to find out that the temple there is a battle station, so legit reason to attack. But however, the Jedi never attacked preemptively. So unless that temple was activated at that time, which I'm gonna go with it wasn't, because when it was deactivated, it brought the whole place down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Or maybe that was the weapon in action was the whole scorched earth kind of thing. Like what we saw. Maybe that's what the weapon does.
Maybe.
Whole lot of I don't knows, but this is what I kind of started thinking. So if the Jedi acted preemptively, that would be outside of the Jedi code. And so in the real world, where none of us really like to live. I'm just kidding.
It's okay sometimes.
But in the real world, we hear of things like this where it's because you're different than me, you are wrong. You are evil. And different things like that. I wonder, with it being thousands of years ago, I wonder if Malachor was the first mistake of the Jedi. Because it's also mentioned in the Age of Rebellion Darth Maul one-shot, where even Palpatine, because Palpatine takes Maul there, and he says, "This I came here because this showed me the sins of the Jedi. These were the first sins of the Jedi."
Right.
So what if Malachor was a mistake? What if the Jedi shouldn't have been there to begin with? They acted preemptively outside of their code, and the reason that Malachor is now off limits is because they don't want anybody to know what actually happened.
Right, because if you go, you'll realize the truth, and you'll see that the Jedi acted out of their feelings.
Yes, the passions, almost like the Sith. And that's the thing, is like, so the Sith that we've seen are all evil. I mean, it's blatant. They're evil.
I mean, yeah.
They're bad dudes. But what if at one point that Sith culture was not?
Right.
So they worship the dark side of the Force. Not advocating for this, just saying. This is just a theory. But they worshipped a different kind of the Force.
Right.
So you are different than me. You are evil. Because I know what the dark side of the Force, how you access this, what it does, all this other kind of stuff. So you must be evil because you believe in this. You do this. So that makes me, I don't know, it almost kind of feels like a Jedi cover-up.
Kinda.
So, I don't know. That's my wild theory.
I'm with your wild theory. I like it.
Yeah.
And just kind of piggybacking off that too, about in the end, I do think, because especially if you were on the light side, which would be the Jedi, of course you're going to learn a little bit of the teaching of the dark, not necessarily like how it works, but you're going to learn that it's bad. Mm-hmm. Just kind of like how in society we learn that this is bad, that's bad, don't do this, don't do that. And when people... It can be, yeah. And when you see somebody doing something bad, you're like, oh, they're a bad person. Because
there are clear moral no's.
Yes.
But then there are some things where it's, it's my preference not to cuss,
Right.
Or it's my preference not to do this, do that. Things like that, where what if this was that, Mm-hmm. It was my preference to access the dark side. This is what I related to.
Right.
And everything. And this was the religion of sorts. And because they were different than the light side, what if it was a preemptive strike to be like, hey, yo, no, we don't like you doing this. Right. Like that. Which I'm leaning more towards that maybe it wasn't because the temple was a battle station. That's kind of, that's evidence. That's not a good thing. But I don't know. I just think it's interesting to see that the kind of morality of the people that we continue to call the bad guys.
Yeah.
And everything. That maybe at one point, thousands of years ago, it wasn't that.
Right.
Because I don't know. I think it would be cool to see, obviously, the first Jedi. Because the first Jedi, we see actually a mural of them in the temple in The Last Jedi on the ground. And it's the dark and the light. Balanced perfectly. That was the first Jedi. The Prime Jedi, I think is what it's called. It was in the Art of the Last Jedi or something like that, the companion book. Mm-hmm. So the Prime Jedi balanced the light and the dark perfectly. So at some point, somebody said, you know what? I don't want the light. I'll take the dark. And then somebody else goes, you know what? I revoke the dark. Let's go to the light. And then it split. So something happened there, but I don't feel like the guy who was like the dark side was like, I'm going to destroy everything.
Right.
Like, obviously, that's not probably how it started. So I don't know. That's the culture that I'd kind of be interested to see the background of.
Yeah, we need more Sith.
Absolutely.
Like, point of views.
Again, the bad guys that we've seen are bad guys. Please don't mistake that. But what if the Sith weren't always that way?
Right.
So yeah. So I don't know.
Just the what if.
Yeah. So there's my wild and crazy theory of the night. Thank you and good night. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about my theory. It's wild. It's out there. And I realize how much stretching there is for this because it's a lot. But yeah, let me know what you think on our socials. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Kessel Run Weekly.
Yes.
So cool. So moving forward from our giant Malachor debate.
Yes.
I thought it was interesting when both Ahsoka and Maul, or Old Master,
old master,
when they talk to Ezra, both of them say that to defeat your enemy, you have to understand them.
Yes.
And Maul adds, even practice their beliefs.
Yes.
And that's where Ezra goes, whoa, 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 whoa. It's like, that's not what I signed up for.
Right.
I would not be happy with that. But in all honesty, like, because we see Ezra after this episode and everything, he kind of struggles with the dark side a little bit.
He does.
He gives in to the anger and the passion and all this other kind of stuff.
Because he's accessed it at this point.
It's easier and easier to access it every time.
Yeah.
Because he knows how to now. It's
well, yeah.
You've been given the key and you just kept the door unlocked.
I mean, you can't sit there and say it's not easier to act out of emotions, though.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You give in, and that's what he does, and he's got a lot to be angry for.
Yeah, he does.
So I almost kind of feel, though, like the words of Ahsoka kind of helped him reason it to be okay.
Right.
Because she says to understand your enemy, you must learn about them, and then he meets Maul, and he says, and even practice their beliefs. And he's like, okay, cool, well, I can do that. Sith holocron that's readily accessible to me. So I almost kind of feel like that kind of put him down that path. But what's interesting, though, is that Ezra, and I'm sure I'm speaking out of turn, but from what I can recall, Ezra and Rey are the only ones that have gone to the dark side and come back and been okay. You know what I mean? Well, no, Luke did too.
About to say, I think Luke did.
Luke did too in Return of the Jedi, where he gave into his anger about killed his father, and then looked down and goes, "I'm not going to do this anymore." Not in those words, but it shows though that a Jedi can go there and still make a decision.
Yeah.
So I don't think that made Ezra any less of a Jedi or anything like that, but it made, just like Rey and Luke, it made them something new.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of which I know it didn't end up good at the end for this person, but Anakin made decisions and he accessed the dark side multiple times and came back to the light for the most part up until the end.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and that's the thing, is that it shows that, because the Jedi teaching are, once you're dark, that's it.
Right.
You're done.
Like, there's no going back, really.
Back. You're not flip-flopping or anything like that, but there have been Jedi in history that have done that.
Right.
I think Quinlan Voss is actually one of those, where he went to the dark side for a little bit and then decided that, you know what, I'm good. But he kind of does his own thing.
I don't like that over here.
You can't necessarily call them Jedi because they're not committed to the Jedi code, but there's something else. Actually, Maul says it. Because even Ezra goes, "So are you Jedi?" And he's like, and he's like, "So then you're Sith." He's like,
I used to wield the Force.
I used to be a Force wielder. Yeah, and it's just kind of like, okay, there you are with the silver tongue, manipulating words, but it makes sense.
With his cane, also his lightsaber, shocked the heck out of me.
Decrepit.
I was wondering where that was, but I knew it comes out, and I just couldn't remember where it was hiding. And then he pulled it out, and I was like, "There it is."
I can just see you looking like, "Where's your saber, man? Where's that? Come on, show me. Where'd it go?"
I was looking for it.
I like Maul in this though a lot.
I do too, because you see like that innocent side of Maul kind of in a way, that whole manipulative.
You feel for him for a minute.
You do, because he's old master, and
Yeah.
he's so weak and sad and lonely. Oh, hoo, hoo.
Well, and I felt like I was reliving the whole thing because, like, as soon as he came up on the screen, I'm sitting here going, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Run away!
Bad news, don't do it. But the longer it went on, and the moments that he helped Ezra, and he was there for him, like, I found myself explaining away, going, "Oh, he's just trying to gain his trust, or he's just trying to get his trust." And then there was like, there's one more thing, and I was like, "Well, he didn't actually have to do that." Or he didn't actually have to do this or anything like that. And so it got to where it was like, does Maul care about this kid to an extent?
Yeah, to be his apprentice.
Yeah, because he's looking to keep him. He's
Yeah.
not looking to just throw him away and use him. He's looking to gain his trust to keep him.
Right.
And as much crap as he put his brother through, Savage Opress, he still cared for his brother.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I love Maul so much. There's so many dimensions to him. Because you know he's going to be manipulative. You know he's going to be just vengeful and just angry all the time. You know those things about him.
Right.
But then something comes up where you're like, I didn't think you were capable of that.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're right.
What did you think about Maul?
Ugh. Maul. Maul's scary. Honestly. Because, you know, we realize kind of early on we find an Inquisitor. And you don't really put two and two together until you see Maul. And then you're like, after, you know, Kanan and Hera, after Kanan and Ahsoka are running.
You miss Hera.
I do miss Hera, yes. Once they're running after this Inquisitor, you realize like the Inquisitor wasn't there for them. Like it wasn't looking for the Jedi. And so you realize it was looking for something else, and they refer to this person as the Shadow.
Which is so freaking creepy.
Which is funny too, because you know the Inquisitors work for Vader. Mm-hmm. So Vader is after Maul to kill him.
Absolutely.
But why? Like I need to know.
At the order of Palpatine, I would imagine.
Palpatine alive?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
At this point, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because this is pre A New
You're
Hope.
right. You're right. You're right.
So yeah.
You're right.
So Palpatine was probably like, you know what? I don't have any need of him anymore.
Right. Let's just
Trash him.
let's get rid of him. Get rid of him.
Dispose of him.
He's trying to rise from the ashes without me.
Right. But when they meet Maul for the first, before we go into that, I do want to talk about the whole kind of what you thought of the Indiana Ezra and the Temple of Doom.
Oh my gosh.
What did you think about that whole trial and stuff? I honestly thought, like, the first time I watched it, I thought Maul was going to squish him. Which, I mean, it would have been a short series, so obviously it wouldn't happen. But it was in the back of my head.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely think that any moment Maul's just going to turn on Ezra and do what he does and just take off because he's really good at doing that.
Yep.
But he doesn't. You know, he realizes how powerful Ezra is. He talks to him, realizes his fears, his strengths, his goals. You know, just a lot of personal things about him.
He really connects with Jabba.
He does, yes, with Jabba. Which was really funny to me that Ezra even said his name was Jabba because you could see Maul was kind of like,
such a smart aleck.
Yeah. Like, I know that's not your name, but that's fine.
He's like, we'll go with that.
Right. So, okay, Jabba. So, he's kind of just like testing, putting him to the test if he can do things. Mm-hmm. And then, you really expected something to really happen when he had to go get the holocron.
Yes.
And he like threw him over there, and especially on the way back, because you can visibly tell that Maul is literally using the Force, but he's only holding on to that holocron.
Yep.
And so it makes you, and then he grabs it, and it makes you wonder if he's gonna pull him up for a second. Mm-hmm. He does.
He does. Yep.
But he easily.
So I wonder if that was a test to see if Ezra's will was stronger.
I don't know.
What I mean? So, because he's pulling it by the holocron, and Ezra looks worried too. He's like, well, crap, he got what he came for. Like, he has it in his hands. Is he going to save me? But Ezra still held on. He didn't let go, and he wasn't going to let go.
And he didn't say anything either.
Yeah, and so it was almost like Maul kind of appreciated his resilience almost.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But you definitely think it's gonna be that, and it's funny to me too because they finally come out on the other end and they find Ahsoka and Kanan fighting the Inquisitors, and they're all just like, oh,
the shadow.
Maul, which was funny to me.
Which is my favorite Maul moment. Like, there's so many favorites that I have.
Fun.
But I love that so much because literally it's just like everything comes to a head at that point. They all realize why they're there, what happened, and why the Inquisitors are there. And the Inquisitors, like, even though they just say the shadow, it's almost like you can hear that fear in them. Like, Maul's been causing them trouble. I honestly believe that. And literally, Maul's just not worried.
Maul slayed all of them, of course.
All of them.
Like, I think the only one he didn't really get a hold of was the one the Kanan hit the lightsaber and
that dude
damaged it, and that dude tried to take off. Yeah, he tried to take off, and then went, whoa!
He took off with half a propeller.
Yeah. But...
Side note, I don't know how I feel about lightsaber helicopters. Did it bother you at all?
I mean, kinda. They're like the only people that have them, which I think is a little odd.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if that kind of technology exists, wouldn't you be flying everywhere with your lightsaber?
Which
I
get that it's spinning as in defense and stuff like that, because these Inquisitors are ex-Jedi. So they're not really Sith, and they're not really Jedi. They're just Inquisitors.
True.
And everything. And so some of them are not fully trained, and some of them are just not very good. So it's like, okay, I get you getting a little bit of an edge here and everything. I understand it. But to use it as a helicopter propeller, I was kind of like, maybe we're stretching the use of a lightsaber a little bit too much.
Maybe. They're cool, though. Can't lie. I think they're pretty cool, though. Like, overall.
Yeah. It was neat. There was just one part where an eighth brother just, like, jumped off the edge and then flew away on his little lightsaber helicopter, and you just see him in the distance just flying away. And I was just like, it reminded me of Bug's Life when they're riding the dandelions.
Oh, my gosh. You're so
I was
funny.
just like, okay, we're doing that. All right.
All right. But yeah, and so then they have a pretty big battle scene. They decide to split up, which is so funny to me because Kanan's obviously very protective of Ezra, because obviously Maul keeps trying to get him and Ezra alone, so that way they can like talk more and he can just kind of get to know him on a personal level some more. And Kanan's like, no, these two come in a pair.
Yeah.
And like just on the little like lift thingy.
Because Maul tries to do only two, no more, no
less.
And he's like, haha, no, get off.
Right. Well, these two come in a pair, so good day.
He calls him Grandpa.
You be a good ride with Grandpa.
Yeah.
Which is really funny.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty great.
Yes.
And that's, I think, what's cool to Ezra's character, because I know at first I wasn't really a fan of Ezra, because he was kind of whiny and all that other kind of stuff, kind of like,
what young Jedi is not? All of them are young and whiny and annoying. Luke, Anakin, Rey.
Ahsoka started that way.
You're right. She sure was.
That's how she got the name.
Whiny children. Whiny little children.
But they grow into their roles and everything.
You're right.
But I thought it was cool, just kind of the growth that Ezra showed in just these episodes, where because it's not necessarily that suddenly everything was real to him, but it was real on another level. Like, Kanan's blinded. They go against the Darth Vader himself, the worst thing that they could possibly go up against. He meets Maul, which he doesn't know anything about Maul, but Kanan's like, no, bad news. We're not doing that. And Ahsoka knows too. And so it's just enough for them to be like, this is a little much. Even though he does give in a little bit to the dark side and stuff, he still holds his own. He still holds it together and doesn't just lose his mind.
Right.
He doesn't fall to the dark side. It's just more of I'm learning. And
you're just kind of peeking through the doorway.
Right.
At this point.
Which almost gets him a couple times. But, because I think the first episode of the next season, he actually walks it's not an ATST, but it's like that. ATDP or something. I don't know, but it's like a chicken walker. But he forces it to walk off the edge when he doesn't have to. Like he intentionally kills someone. So like he's having a little struggle with it, but at the same time he didn't completely succumb to it.
Right.
And I think that does take an element of strength to notice, hey, yeah, I don't like that person I'm becoming. Let me dial it back.
Right.
But yeah, so with that and everything, so I think we need to go ahead and get into the final moment because, dear God, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I got so excited. I've seen this episode so many times, but I cannot help but get excited every single time because it's Sky Guy and Snips, guys.
I know, it's so good. So, we realize that Maul betrays Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
He goes up, takes the holocron up to the temple top, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, Ezra takes it there, yeah.
Realizes it's not
knowledge.
It's not knowledge.
Literal power.
Literal power. And it's like, oh, you take this power, you destroy all mankind, or something like that. I don't remember, but it was crazy.
And I think the voice says something about now you have the power to destroy life. He's like, what? I don't know what I wanted at all.
Right. Ah! And
like, whoa. All control delete.
Right. So, battle ensues, la 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 la. Next thing we know, somebody thought it'd be fun to ride their TIE fighter in. No, I'm sorry, not even ride. Stand.
Yes.
This man is standing on his TIE fighter, being super over the top, which would be...
So that's the thing. So you remember how everybody, lost their minds about the don't choke on your aspirations. It's like, why would he make a cheesy joke like that? Because he's freaking Anakin Skywalker. Darth Vader has always been a cheeseball. He's always got one-liners.
Yeah.
Everything. And then he has the obvious one-liner, and then he comes in on a TIE fighter. Not in
Standing.
it. On it.
Standing. Yes.
Because no one's there with him. It's just him and the TIE fighter. So that means at some point, Vader crawled out of his TIE fighter and was like, this is going to be awesome. Just watch.
I know. Legit. It's a really cool scene. It's just really
cool,
funny.
Yeah. But it's funny to think about how he got on the TIE fighter. Because that's his TIE fighter. And he came from the top. So that means at some point he was like, you know what? I'm going to crawl on top of it. I'm going to lower myself in. It's going to be awesome.
Right. It's going to be super cool.
They're going to be so scared of me, guys.
Right. So him and Ezra go head to head just for a minute, and I meant to tell you that in that scene you can really tell that Vader's really playing with him. I feel like.
Oh, he's absolutely toying with him. Even to the comment that he said, because Ezra decides he wants to be all big and bad like he always does.
I'm not afraid of you.
I'm not afraid of you, and then Vader says you'll die braver than most. I was like, whew. That would have made me afraid right there.
I know. And then
like,
and then he chops his lightsaber in half, and he's like, or maybe not, or something like that. I don't know. So he's like,
Anakin.
He's like, uh-oh.
Yep.
No, that was really funny.
Ooh. But
and then somebody else shows up. Well, she's been there the whole time, but she comes to the top to fight Vader because she... this point thinks Vader killed Anakin. Because that's what the rumor was. That's what the happening was.
Yep. And then she even says it. She said, I don't believe it. Because my master would never be that vile. And that's when she says something about Anakin.
Yeah. And then he turns to her and says, Anakin was weak.
No, I destroyed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when she's like, and then I will avenge his death. And I'm
like,
oh, it's on.
Oh, snap.
It's like, ding, ding, ring the bell, let's go.
Right. So then they go and have this really cool lightsaber fight, which is really neat, too, because just to say, obviously, if you've seen Rebels, you notice that Ahsoka has white lightsabers. White, which is really cool.
You actually recently learned why.
I did. And just to give you a little bit of knowledge, if you don't know, the reason she has white lightsabers is because what she did is, you know how in order for the Sith to get their red ones, they drain the Jedi lightsabers? Well, she drained a Sith lightsaber.
Yes.
So it is white.
Red and white.
Yes. So cool. So it's pure. It's back to its stunning pure.
Which is the coolest looking lightsabers.
Legit. The coolest. So, kind of as they're fighting, we see Ezra and Kanan in the background pulling the holocron out. obviously the temple starts collapsing. Around this time, I think he actually ends up pushing Ahsoka off the edge, and we're like, oh crap! And then he goes start going towards Ezra again.
Yeah, pulling by the holocron.
Yeah,
He's like, whoa!
yeah, it's really funny because they're trying to get out. They're trying to get to the ship, and
It's almost like it looked like a paranormal activity kind of thing. Like I almost kind of expected him to drag him by his ankles.
I know, right?
But like literally, he's getting out, and then all of a sudden, it's just oh god, oh gosh,
right?
And he turns around, and he's like trying to hold on to it and everything.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
And then Ahsoka comes back and actually like hits Vader in the mask, and like breaks off like the I don't even want. Yeah, I was gonna say left or right, but I couldn't really. I don't really know which side it was. But yeah, it breaks off half his mask there, and you can tell it's his breathing is suffering, and then, and then you hear Anakin's voice.
Yeah,
and he says,
played by Matt Lanter.
Yes, and
Which is really cool.
And he says, Ahsoka.
Yep. And she hears Anakin for a second. Breaks my heart every time.
Mine
like
too.
Right now, it's making me tear up a little
bit.
It is
too. Me too. Because you could see it in her face. She's just like, what the what?
Yeah.
And
she heard her old master for just a moment.
Yeah. And she, then he says it again, Ahsoka. And she's like, Anakin? And he looks up at her, and you can tell, and she can tell that it's Anakin's face. Like, it's Anakin. And I don't remember what she says, but I just remember it being like, oh.
He actually tells her that we need not be adversaries. That if you tell him where the remaining Jedi are,
oh yeah,
he'll grant her mercy, or the Emperor will grant her mercy, or something like that.
Yes.
And then
Yes. You're absolutely right.
And then, but yeah, there's so much goodness in that entire scene. The whole, and then we skipped right over the I am no Jedi. That part.
Oh, dang it. It's just so good.
Just, I will avenge his death. And that's when he says that,
revenge not the Jedi way.
Yeah. I am no Jedi. It's like, yeah.
Which is so funny, too, that he even says that, because he knows she's not a Jedi. She knows that she left.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's right there, it's Anakin posturing with her.
Yeah.
Because he flew in on a TIE fighter.
I mean, he did, but you know too from, the Jedi was like Ahsoka's life.
What if? I'm glad you said that. What if he was trying to hurt her?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Trying to take a jab.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
say. He had to have been upset that she left, and that's the thing is that's one of the issues with Anakin is that nothing was ever resolved with him.
Right.
It always lingered. He always thought too much about it, and it was always that way and everything. And I wonder if he never forgave her for leaving.
He probably didn't. He probably was still really hurt and upset about it, because I feel like her leaving probably had a hand in him turning out the way he did.
Absolutely. But he blames that, but there were a lot of other factors.
No, there was. Yeah. Not saying like she was the one all be all, the reason he is Darth Vader now. I'm saying I think it was another part of his failure. He failed Padme, he failed his mother, he failed Obi-Wan, he failed the Jedi, he failed
in his perception too.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, and he failed her. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just kind of what it was. Is he had all these failures that he thought which I mean, not all of them were failures, but he thought he had failed. So
you're right.
That's why he.
But yeah, that ends up being like, in all honesty, top heartbreaking moments of Star Wars. That's definitely in the top.
Yeah,
like one of the top. It's. Oh, I love it so much.
Most definitely.
Yes.
But I mean, we don't really see anything that happens. It just kind of pans away, and Ezra and Kanan get on the ship and fly away.
Yeah.
And all we see is Ahsoka and Vader fighting.
Yep. And then at the very end, it's when, because it closes down and Ezra doesn't know what happened to her. All he knows is that it collapsed. The temple collapsed.
Right.
They land at Chopper Base, and Rex realizes that
Ahsoka's
3 left and only 2 came back.
Yes.
Which is another heartbreaking moment. Because at that point, it was that was his friend.
Yeah.
His comrade. They fought together. They were family.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Now I'm just making myself sad.
I know, me too. But overall, it's such a good episode. And you know, we said earlier in this episode that if you haven't watched these two, go watch them.
Absolutely.
And honestly, if you've already seen all of, like, the Rebels stuff, if you're just kind of wanting to refresh, watch these two and go watch A World Between Worlds.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. It was actually really good.
It definitely was. It's really cool to watch them right after.
It was. I didn't think it would be, but it was.
Watch it with subtitles.
Watch it with subtitles.
Watch it with subtitles.
Watch it with subtitles.
We're advocating for that.
Yeah. Subtitles have really done a lot for us in the Star Wars universe.
Absolutely. It's a whole new world.
It is.
So cool. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty.
Oh my gosh. That's part of your world.
Oh.
Close
Okay.
enough. Close enough.
You're right. But nope. I think we hit a lot of good points. It's a really good episode, and it just, I don't know, like, rewatching it again is just kind of brought a lot of things back into my sights.
Oh, definitely. We will be venturing back into Star Wars Rebels very soon.
Yes, we sure will.
But yeah, and so that's it for our main topic for our show today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Before we really close it out, we want to make sure that you guys know about our cool stuff coming, because we have a brand new show coming at you February 1st. It's Clone Wars commentary with Cheyenne.
Yes!
So our buddy Cheyenne is going to be watching the entirety of the Clone Wars series and commentating.
Yes.
Having a fun time with it, teaching us some things. It's a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of cool stuff. It's awesome, so definitely check it out. It'll be on our regular podcast feed, so you don't have to subscribe to anything extra.
Nope.
Just hang out with us here. And yeah, so be watching out for that February 1st, and next week she'll actually be on the show to talk a little bit about her show. So yeah. So that's all I have. So thank you again, everyone, for listening or watching another episode of Kessel Run Weekly. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review, and we'll read it on any future episode.
Yes. We sure will. You can also find us on social media at Kessel Run Weekly on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and on our website, kesselrunweekly.com.
Absolutely. And until next time, guys, my name is Danny.
And I'm Kristen.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.